In Norse mythology, Ragnarok is the end of everything. But hidden in old poems is a terrifying sign, the black sun. It is said that before the final battle, the sun would turn black, devoured by the wolf skull. Darkness would spread across the world, ice and fire colliding in chaos. The black sun was more than an omen. It was a prophecy of the universe collapsing, a reminder that even the gods could not escape destiny.
Look at Revelation chapter 16, verse number 10. Then the fifth angel poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and his kingdom was plunged into darkness, and the subjects ground their teeth in anguish. Now, once the kingdom is plunged into darkness, it stays that way until Christ returns.
And well, looking at our sun right now, we see something that is not normal. Now, it's not like we've never seen this before, but this is quite rare. This is a gigantic, a gargantuan, a Goliath coronal hole. This is an area of the sun, the outermost part of the sun, the atmosphere of the sun, you could say, the corona. It's made up of very high temperature plasma. When it's not there, it shows up dark on our specific views that look at the corona. So this is our 211 angstrom view with the 193 angstrom filter on it. And we see this gigantic dark section showing that that part of the solar corona is devoid of plasma. Like, it's basically super low density, it's very low temperature, and as a result, we're actually looking a little bit deeper into the sun, this is pretty rare. I mean, this is one of the biggest coronal holes, you could say, of the 21st century. We have solar cycles. The sun goes through a magnetic flip every 12 years or so. It's like 8 to 13 years is the range, meaning the magnetic field on the sun actually flips polarity. So this could be a northern polarity up here, a southern polarity, and then 12 years later, boom, they flipped. Right now, we're at the very end of solar maximum and the beginning of the descending phase. So solar maximum is when the magnetic field is the most chaotic. There is no clear polarity because it's in the middle of flipping. And then during the descending phase, the new polarity starts to become more and more established. And during solar minimum, you have a very clear polarity with the sun. You have a lot less activity with the sun. Solar flares are much less frequent. And you get these sort of coronal holes more often during the descending phase and during solar minimum. What's been very interesting about this solar maximum is that we've had these huge coronal holes on the sun. This just being one of a few that we've had this year, which are absolutely gargantuan. There are normal, sometimes we'll see them just this size like this, and this is a big coronal hole right there. Transequatorial, slicing right through the ecliptic. That means that it hits Earth with its high-speed stream. But the fact that this one then stretches to the south, even beyond that, is insane. So this is a gargantuan coronal hole. And the reason why I wrote, we have a problem is that there is a linkage between these sort of structures on the sun and how they structure the solar wind and geophysical energy rhythms here on Earth, namely earthquake activity.
Revelation chapter 6. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. So the sixth seal starts with the great earthquake.
2025 is one of the strongest years for seismic activity ever on record. And we've had these gigantic coronal holes on the sun during solar maximum, and typically they become more prolific, more frequent, and bigger during the descending phase and during solar minimum. So if that trend is to continue, what we're seeing here could be a preview for some really, really insane coronal hole features on the sun, meaning that the sun could shed even more plasma by the time we get to solar minimum.
The black sun isn't just darkness, it's hidden illumination. The black sun appears in alchemy, mysticism, and esoteric traditions, but its meaning is still debated. Some see it as a symbol of destruction, the burning away of illusion. Others say it represents the hidden light behind the material world, a force that transcends duality. In alchemy, it marks the Nigredo stage, ego death before transformation. Some fear it, others embrace it.
6,000 years ago, the high priests of ancient Egypt declared, "Behold, our God is a black god, too brilliant for mortal eyes." Of course, this was not meant in the context of skin color, but referencing what in alchemy is known as the prima materia, or materia prima, the first matter, the omnipresent starting material required for the creation of the philosopher's stone, or, in a biblical perspective, the darkness that existed before God said, "Let there be light," the blackness from which light itself is born from, the Great Mother. This might help to explain not only the Black Osiris, but also the Black Madonna, the Black Kali, and other deities associated with darkness. That said, the White Osiris is the manifest physical universe we perceive and which the Bible calls day.
We add back the 210 years missing, we land on year 5,995. So 5 years left for the year 2030 in the Greco-Roman calendar, and 5 years left for the year 6000 in the Hebrew calendar. So this will represent the millennial reign of Jesus Christ when he comes back to reign and rule with us.
But wait, there's more.
Jesus said that the stars will fall from the sky. And once again, he's describing the cause and effect of the sixth seal being opened in the book of Revelation. In other words, when the sixth seal is opened, a polar axis shift occurs and the stars fall from the sky.
Our planet goes through catastrophic changes roughly every 6,000 years. These changes include massive earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and even ice ages. What's even scarier is the magnetic pole flip.
You're going to see true climate change when the earth begins to wobble, when that polar axis shifts. Now, how do I know that a polar axis shift is going to occur when this great earthquake hits? Well, look at verse number 14. Revelation chapter 6. We're still reading about the sixth seal. Look at verse 14. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Now that's really not a good translation. Let me show you why I say that. First of all, the word departed is translated from the Greek word apokorizo, and it means to split or to part. So what John was saying is that heaven was split like a scroll. So I want you to picture heaven as a scroll. Now look back at verse number 14. I want you to underline the phrase rolled together. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. Underline that phrase rolled together. That phrase is translated from the Greek word hylisso, which simply means to roll. The picture that John is painting is of a scroll that's being rolled. It simply says it's going to roll. What you see in the sky will roll. Everyone with me? All right. So that means that the stars that were visible before, wherever you lived, they're no longer visible. Or you have to look somewhere else to see them, because the sky has been rolled like a scroll. And the stars that weren't visible before are now visible. Why? Because the sky's been rolled.
The Heinrich events were being proven to be tied to major solar activity, making for a solar, climate, geomagnetic trifecta of changes that happen very rapidly and all at the same time. Again, on a 6,000-year cycle. The scientists were then able to isolate the solar aspect of this and confirm that the most dramatic super-flaring outbursts near X1000 range are likely to occur on about a 6,000-year cycle. So when we put this all together over time, what does it tell us? We'll have a look at this chart. We've got the 6,000-year events, which actually peak to a higher event every other cycle, every 12,000 years, and we've got them all listed here as far back as they are confirmed. The 12,000-year bigger events have much more confidence when we get back past about 50,000 years ago in time. you should notice a few things. There is a Heinrich event every 6,000 years. Recall that the one 6,000 years ago was the first outside of a glacial cycle, so it's often called a tropical hydroclimate event instead. There's evidence of that solar cycle hitting each time, with every 12,000 year event having those micronova isotopes suggesting an even higher gear for the sun. And yes, there were magnetic pole shifts, geomagnetic excursions, at each stage of this as well. We've got the official names of them over on the right. And so this is the trifecta: solar, geomagnetic, climate. And the 6,000 year cycle is due up again right now, actually the double, the 12,000 year major mark. And the Heinrich event, as we heard earlier in the video, and as we've heard many times the last few years, it is ongoing, building with the ice loss and the impending gyre release, which will collapse the ocean currents. The sun is due, and strange changes are already being seen in its magnetic field and coronal chemistry, and of course, Earth's magnetic field is currently weakening, faster and faster, all of these happening right on time, every sign we need to see.
The black sun, or Sol Niger, symbolizes the hidden, transformative darkness before enlightenment. It represents death of the ego, shadow work, and the alchemical Nigredo phase. In darkness, the light is reborn.
A key thing to remember: the entire world is affected somewhat during these cycles, like the one ending now, but it's luck of the draw which areas get hit harder and which get spared.